Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance has been the most polarizing thing I've seen on my timeline since this battle started. Okay, I have seen people from all walks of life, all different sides, having different opinions, many of them strong opinions against the halftime show. And I didn't think that I would have to be the K-Dot caper. I didn't think that I would have to put on my defending gloves and be the one to come out here and defend Kendrick Lamar against the world. I didn't think I'd have to be that. I thought there was, in fact, I thought it was going to be the opposite. Initially, I thought I wouldn't even have to make a video like this. There would be so many people being like, wow, that performance was incredible, that I wouldn't need to be the person to do it. But I'm seeing the opposite. I am seeing the usual suspects from the other side be as loud as can possibly be. But not only that, okay, you have like the usual sus. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And then we have the conservatives who are like, this is crazy. A black man performing hip hop. This is he's rapping. What is going on? This was not for. You have those people. Like I expected them, But then you have people who are just complaining that the show was boring, that the set list was bad, that he should have done different songs. Like there is complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. Okay, too many complaints. I had to get on here and let me show you why Kendrick Lamar's halftime show was in itself a masterpiece. Of course, there could have been a different set list. Of course, different things could have happened on that stage. Maybe less focus on Drake. Cool, there's all these things that could have happened. But here's why none of those things should have happened. Here's why every decision Kendrick made for this particular show at this particular time was exactly the right decision. Let's get into it. Entire show together and point out all of the things that were subliminals, all of the things that Kendrick was talking about that people didn't maybe catch upon first listen or first watch. It took me multiple watches. Okay, of course, I caught some of them. I posted a video very early on. But a lot of what went kind of under the radar at first was a lot of the subtleties about Kendrick and the way that he views not only being himself an entertainer at the highest level, the biggest stage in America, but being a black man in America, about dealing with the pressures of having to deliver upon expectations that have been placed on him, the pressure that exists in his position to, be a revolutionary, to say certain things, to do certain things, and how he uses his platform. A lot of that I didn't even catch upon first watch. And I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube. There's some great breakdowns. I watched FD Signifier's breakdown. I watched Curtis King, Justin Hunt, of course, the Culture United people, Professor Sky, everyone who had great breakdowns, Rob Markman, all the crew. The crew had great breakdowns, Fantano. And I've been looking at a lot of tweets, okay? Shout out to Thought Crimes. Shout out to a lot of people on Twitter who are doing the digging, people on TikTok who are doing the digging, okay? So, again, a lot of this is culminated information that I'm gathering, and I'm going to deliver you what I believe to be some theories about the halftime show that will hopefully maybe convince one person to take another watch at this halftime show and see what they're missing by focusing on the set list or by focusing on the wrong things. The red button. If you remember when Drake was about to drop Family Matters, he posted on Instagram the meme of a red button about to be hit with the eyes looking up at it. And he teased that was going to basically be the career-ending red button. We start off with the dome as a red button. Of course, people have pointed out that we begin with a PlayStation controller type vibe here with the buttons. This being a metaphor for not only the game, the battle, right, but also the game that Kendrick's playing, the game that Kendrick goes throughout his performance, that he has to play for white America, for mainstream America, for black America. He has to balance this line and tightrope this line of how far do I go? How far do I conform? How do I maintain my spot in this space and still be looked at with respect by the people who I respect or the people who I want respect from, and also the mainstream? This balancing act that not only exists as an entertainer, but also exists in corporate America and in many other spaces for Black people in America, but especially in this moment for Kendrick. And this game is being played live on the Super Bowl halftime show stage.
It's the great American game.
So it's pretty on the nose up front, like Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam, which was a reference to Pimp a Butterfly as well, but also just to, you know, the American game, corporate greed, taxes, and Samuel Jackson, who is also somewhat of a revolutionary in his own right. He has ties, you know, if you go back and look up Samuel L. Jackson, he spent time with future Black Panthers in Atlanta and was inspired by their spirit of resistance. So this is not an accident to put Samuel L. Jackson as this character. But Samuel L. Jackson is basically guiding Kendrick through the game of America and how to play the game on a level where he can be accepted by mainstream America and still be himself. A game that is almost impossible to win, and basically asking Kendrick to do the impossible right now. I had so many people message me, by the way, that they were thinking of me in this moment. I was thinking of you too. I was thinking of the people. I was like, we got the tiramisu. We ate dessert. But not only that, we got extra bars in the tiramisu that I wanted to take a look at. So right over here, he says, you would not get the picture if I had to sit you for hours in front of the Louvre. You would not have a soul, even if I had told you to stand next to Johnny and Q, Absol, J-Rock, Schoolboy Q, Black Hippie shout out. I still wanted Black Hippie song. I would have loved if a Black Hippie song dropped that night. But Absol keeps alluding to things, so maybe there's one that exists. The other thing is there's a lot of references to Absol's Control System album throughout this, you know, the game of America and control and the media and the government, and all of those themes kind of exist in this performance as well. But this next bar, remember the food stamp color was tan and brown, but now the 100 is blue. Remember I said I'm the greatest back when you debated the number 1 and number 2. Topic was always hilarious to me. You carried them to me. I brung out the Christ. Now, this is a J. Cole shot. This is less of a Drake shot and more of a J. Cole shot, which he's kind of avoided for the most part. He's taken light jabs at since the battle, but Cole mentioned him on Port Antonio. Kendrick is basically saying here, remember I said I'm the greatest back when you debated the number 1 and number 2. You know, what did Cole say? Numero uno, not the 2, not the 1, I'm the UNO. He said, we're the big 3 like we started the league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. And then he says, topic was always hilarious to me. You carried him to me. Basically saying, like, you kind of started this too, J. Cole. Don't hide your hand. You brought him to me by claiming you were the greatest. So this is kind of a little bit of a shot towards Cole, in my opinion. But we got more tiramisu, so that's the most important thing. Let's keep going.
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
So one version of this means that if you think Kendrick is going to be overt with his revolution and he's going to do, you know, a big stance against the government, or, you know, against an issue like police brutality or something like that, if you think that Kendrick is going to be that forthcoming with his message, then you actually picked the wrong guy. The wrong guy for that, because he is not going to do that. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation, meaning if you expected nothing to be said, if you expected Kendrick to just get up there and play the game like Uncle Sam wants him to, and just be good and dance for you and give you the hits, then you have the wrong guy, because Kendrick has never conformed once in his life when it comes to his art. Wrong guy if you expected him to do that. And then we got the broccoli.
Mr. Get off, I get off at my feet.
Somebody commented on my initial reaction and said, that it says 5+5 on his hat. I can't confirm that, but that would be kind of funny if it was 5+5. You know, how many stocks do I really have in stock? Meaning there's more that he could go with, but he's not going to, of course, because it's game over. But that would be interesting. The A minor chain, I know everyone's talking about that too. You know, it probably is just a PG Lang logo. But at the same time, Kendrick's not slick, and he knows that people will view, you know, and read into things. People like myself, who will even at some point reach to say that that is an A minor chain. So I think probably both.
Do you really know how to play the game?
So here, Samuel Jackson, of course, is telling him, play the game, dance for the people, give them the hits. They came to the Super Bowl to be entertained. Why are you going into the unreleased tiramisu bag? This halftime show isn't for Jeremy Hecht and company. It's not for the fans of the bigger picture. This is for mainstream middle America. Okay? Don't do this for LA. All right? Do it for everyone. Play the hits. American flag here is very interesting too. We have the division, of course, with the red, white, and blue. You have, you know, Bloods and Crips uniting as well there. But beyond that, now this image was powerful too. It was, you know, showcasing the American flag, you know, being built on the backs of Black Americans and how they're such an integral part of America. You know, it was built by Black Americans. There's no denying that. And so I think having Black men be the base of this flag was definitely a statement in itself, but also still the division that exists within the flag. You know, no matter what, there's still all this division, whether it be politically, whether it be because of a stupid rap beef, or whether it be because of class. And, you know, even the Squid Games reference is the class thing, you know, the rich, you know, watching while the poor kind of entertain. And I think that's another reference that Kendrick is kind of saying, not that Kendrick's calling himself poor, but he's basically saying it's like, you know, run around over there, you know, even the game of football, run around and you know, make your little money. But compared to, you know, the billionaires, the owners, you know, it's still little, it's still light. So I think this is, again, another commentary on, you know, don't get too out of line, play the game. The one thing that's tough about Kendrick Lamar performances, and I've said this for a long time, is his lyrics are so complex in the sense of his flow. Sometimes he puts a lot of words per sentence versus someone with more melody or people who kind of condense or have more spaces. Kendrick fits a lot into a song and a stanza and a verse. So when he's performing live, he skips a lot of words because he does have no backing vocals, which is incredibly impressive, but he also skips a lot of words. So I imagine for somebody who has no idea about Kendrick Lamar, you're not even really hearing the full message from some of these songs, even the more popular ones. So I actually do think that is a valid critique of like not knowing what's going on or not really fully understanding Kendrick as a performer or him verbalizing his sentences properly because there's so many words missing when he spits so fast or when he's, you know, having such great breath control. Even that, it's impossible to perform some of these songs in full with no backing vocal. So I do think that that's a valid critique, and I have said that about Kendrick performances for a long time. But at the same time, this isn't for those people. So this is for the people who do know all the words to these Kendrick songs anyways. They know the song. They know what he's talking about. They know what he's referring to. They're not confused. So getting Euphoria at the Super Bowl is crazy. It's crazy. It is.
It's KDOT.
Now, initially on the leaked audio, that part was supposed to be, motherfuck the big three. It's just big me. I do think that he did change that after that got leaked, but it could have been something that he maybe was playing around with how he wanted to do that part. But I would have actually liked if he did say that. I thought it would have been cool. Now, the light post is something that's really interesting. So there's a story where an 18-year-old died after a fall from a light pole while celebrating Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl berth. So that's one theory that I saw about this light pole, where there's somebody on there and then you can see the shadow afterwards, and it's in commemoration because Samuel Jackson does say afterwards, scorekeeper deduct one life. So it could be kind of showcasing that every life is important, and that even though we're celebrating football and it's about this game, that lives matter, and the lives that are being impacted by what's being done do matter, and that they deserve to be commemorated. That's one theory. I also saw a theory about the Hanged Man tarot card, where it kind of has the same look right here.
This is
But who
contagious.
knows?
That's okay with
Now,
me.
some people are pointing out also that this could be a reference to Louisiana culture, Hot Boys culture, the grills. Some people even have said Lil Wayne, but I think it also could just be an overall celebration of black culture. Samuel L. Jackson does talk about bringing your homies with you as the cultural cheat code. But Man at the Garden is really interesting because in itself, it's an important song to Kendrick. He mentioned in the Timothy Chalamet interview how important that song is, and how that message resonates so strongly that he wanted to put it up front in the album. He said that he feels like he deserves to put songs like that very close to the front of an album now because he wants everyone to hear it, and that was the easiest song for him to write. Now, The Garden, if you think about The Garden, where is The Garden? I personally think that he's talking about not necessarily the Garden of Eden, this garden. And I think that maybe this is more of a biblical reference. And if you look at how many people Kendrick had behind him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, including the light post. And if you look at how many disciples that Jesus had before the garden, there's 12. Here there is, Kendrick plus 10 plus 1 on the light post, which would be 11. But they also mentioned deducting 1 life, meaning that there could have been 12 beforehand, and now there's only 11 disciples. So that's my reading, is that this is actually a biblical reference. I don't quite know exactly what Kendrick's getting at with that reference, and I don't 100% know about the deduction of 1 life. Again, it could be in memorial of the person who fell from the light post. It could also be an XXXTentacion reference, as we'll talk about in a second. It could be Kendrick himself, if he's referring to himself as Jesus in this moment with Man at the Garden. I'm not 100% sure. You guys can let me know, but I think there's something to this.
Now, right now, here they say for me, did it with integrity.
Scorekeeper, deduct 1 life.
The fact that he said deduct 1 life before Peekaboo, and Peekaboo as referenced by Thought Crimes on YouTube, there could be a connection between this Silent Hill and XXXTentacion's Helping Hand Challenge and Drake's God's Plan. And this could be referencing that Kendrick kind of is toying the idea of Drake being involved in XXX's passing, and that maybe he was hired. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Drake was at least playing with that idea, whether he was involved or not. And so the reference could be bringing the homies with you, the cultural cheat code, meaning that Drake isn't necessarily part of that life, but he's using people around him to do things for him. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what this is, but so he performed it in the X. There's also 2 X's on top here, and I pointed out that there was another X in SZA and another X in Serena Williams later on. So there's a lot of XXX references. Again, something that Kendrick hinted at. The rabbit hole gets deeper if they were to have continued battle. And I think this is just him hanging it over kind of Drake's head. Like, we didn't even go there yet. If you do think of poking your head back out, Peekaboo, I got more on you. Of course, the suit, I liked the way he did that. I thought it was fun that he teased it and he kind of led up to it, and then it kind of had the culmination moment when he performed it. I thought it was cool. I actually did like that. He was gonna perform it. There was no doubt, especially after it was at the Grammys and they led up to it so much, and then it was on the Super Bowl commercial. It's like he was gonna perform it. But it was kind of cool seeing. I wish I honestly didn't see the leaked set list, because I think it did ruin a little bit of that moment and that anticipation. I knew what was happening, so I feel like the people around me who hadn't heard the leaked set list and didn't know that was the real set list, they were kind of waiting, but I was like, I know where it's headed. But I thought it was really cool. Super dope that AZ Check got his lyrics rapped at the Super Bowl. I know there's a reaction video of him reacting to it. So, of course, SZA being Drake's ex, but I don't think that really had much to do with it. In fact, I'm actually curious to know how Kendrick sees SZA. I mean, I know how he sees her right now, but I'd be curious because she was kind of Team Drake for a long time. She was kind of playing both sides there. Of course, she had a relationship with Drake, but, you know, he shouted her out in songs. They've collabed together. Both supported each other. I'd be interested to know what their relationship was like, kind of that in between. Or is SZA the mole? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, SZA killed it. Kendrick killed it on this part. I actually really liked their back-to-back songs. Now, there are shots kind of throughout this whole thing. Anyone who says it wasn't about Drake at all is also delusional. It wasn't only about Drake. America was the top line layer, and there was cultural influences and what it meant to be black in America. That was kind of the overarching message. But Drake was the centerpiece of a lot of this because there's shots on All the Stars, there's shots on Humble, there's shots on DNA, there's shots on The Snippet, there's shots on Squabble Up, there's shots on Peekaboo, there's shots on Not Like Us, of course, there's shots on Euphoria, of course. Basically every song had a Drake reference to me, except maybe Luther. So, but the other thing is that Kendrick owns 7 out of the songs that were performed, and he owns the masters to them. So the fact that he was so present with this and that he performed GNX was important because now Kendrick reaps the benefits of that with his sales going up. So not only was his tour sales way up, Spotify performance was way up, including Not Like Us, but also including GNX. I think they said GNX had like 111% increase since the Super Bowl, which is, you know, if it were him performing some of his older songs, those songs would have gone up, and Kendrick doesn't own the masters to those, meaning Kendrick wouldn't have reaped the benefits as much had he performed those, as well as him saying how present he wanted to be. He said a lot. Kendrick had no problem talking about how present he wanted to be. He talked about not wanting to live in the past. He talked about with Timothy Chalamet in the interview. He talked about how, and in his interview with Ebro and Adeska, he talked about how much he loves the present right now, and he's focused on storytelling, and that's what's inspiring him, and he doesn't want to live in the past. He's in his prime. We have not seen an artist do the Super Bowl in their prime, at the height of their moment, like Kendrick Lamar. All of these other artists have done it past their prime, meaning they had the ability to do catalog because they didn't have something current that was living up to what was going on in their career at the time. But Kendrick is still on a high of his moment, and he showcased, this is what I'm on. Like DJ had said, that Kendrick has says this is what I'm on. He said, this is what the homie's on. He's on this music right now, and he truly believes in it, and he showcased that.
I don't even want your congratulations.
Drake congratulated Kendrick on breaking one of his records. Kendrick with Damn broke Drake's record for I don't remember what this was, if it was most sold in a week or something like that. And Champagne probably said, amazing to see our music moving. The headlines were that Drake was congratulating Kendrick, and a lot of people saw that as, you know, I don't want your congratulations. We still have some stuff to deal with.
Don't.
So here's where Samuel L. Jackson said, finally, we got the moment where you got a hook, you got a melody, you got a singer, you got a female singer up there giving us the soft tunes, okay? The radio hits. Finally, Kendrick, you're playing the game. This, if you had the whole performance like this, more melodies, like, you know, some other artists who have more melodies in their catalog, this is what America could have liked. That's how you're supposed to dance for the man. But
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music.
Even him mentioning 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music, on the Super Bowl stage, I mean, he had a message. He clearly had a message.
Try to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
You can't fake influence. Basically saying, even though Drake is accusing Kendrick's label, you know, his own label too, technically both of their labels, of rigging the game, he's saying you cannot rig influence, no matter what it is. Also, I like this bar in Man in the Garden when Kendrick said, flip a coin, you want the dangerous me or the famous me? Meaning, do you want to just see me do the hits and play it safe, or do you want the dangerous me? The famous me is Kendrick Lamar doing the ones you know, Money Trees, All Right, Swimming Pools, Don't Kill My Vibe, Mad City. The dangerous me is me being unapologetically myself 100%, and you can't control me. If you can't control me, that's dangerous. If you can't control someone at the height of Kendrick Lamar's status, at the magnitude that he's at as an artist, that's dangerous. That's dangerous to the system. Crip walking, I think the message that got overlooked here is, yes, of course, she's Drake's ex. We know that. But there's two things I wanted to point out about Serena being in the video. So one, the Crip walk was more meaningful because of this. Where was that?
A bit louder.
This was at the London Olympics. Serena celebrated for 4 seconds or something like that by crip walking, and it was outrage. People were outraged. They're like, she's bringing gang culture to tennis. She's ruining the game. It used to be clean and white, and now Serena is doing it's over with. White Americans went crazy. So for her to be able to do this on the largest stage in the world, or in America at least, I know there's people around the globe who are going to be like, we have bigger events. Okay, FIFA, I'm sorry. World Cup, I'm sorry. Olympics, I'm sorry. Biggest stage in America. For her to do it as part of the culture, as part of a cultural showcase, it was kind of a double meaning of, yes, the Drake diss and she's crip walking on him, but also she gets her revenge and she gets to do what she wanted to do in the first place, which is being authentically herself. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about her sister dying from a killing by a crip. We do not know, us meaning myself included, civilians have no idea what her ties are, what her neighborhood was like, what she grew up like, what her culture is. Okay, so this could be her paying homage, and you can pay homage to something without celebrating the negative aspects of it. Okay, so I say, myself included, we just stay out of this. But the other thing I wanted to say about Serena is that Serena is the real reason that Drake dropped back-to-back. The real reason Drake dropped back-to-back is because Serena Williams told him, you have to make a song so undeniable that he's going to hear it in the club. She told him to drop a hit song, and she said, you should drop back-to-back. Drake said that in his interview with Elliot. And so her stomping on stage while Kendrick is performing Not Like Us is also a triple shot, because it's like, you could have had me on your side. You could have had me on your side, and look what happened when you didn't during this beef. So he says it. He said, this is GNX. It was a GNX show. He said, I'm doing this right now. Forget the catalog. And now also keep in mind, he performed All Right in Mad City in 2022 already. So really the only songs you would have been missing were maybe Money Trees and Don't Kill My Vibe and Swimming Pools. Like the Good Kid Mad City songs. Pretty much. That's what people are complaining about missing. Maybe Love from Damn. Those were maybe the ones that were really glaringly missing. But he's clearly saying that's his first album he is on right now. But at Flog Gnaw, Mustard did a whole set and it made this big thing, and it seemed like Kendrick was going to come out. But look, he showed up at the Grammys. They were on stage together, and he allowed Mustard to be on stage. And when I was next to Mustard, I interviewed him at the Grammys. You can check that out on Hip Hop DX YouTube. But I didn't ask him about the Super Bowl because next to me, Variety had interviewed him before, and they asked him if he knew anything about the Super Bowl. And he kept saying to everybody, like, I don't know anything. I truly believe he might not have known. He might have had an NDA, but I'm just happy for him. Look at him with the yellow on his jacket, too.
Turn this.
And then putting the TV off with Game Over, of course. The Game Over meaning maybe Kendrick feels like he beat the game in one sense. You know, he was able to walk that line at the Super Bowl. Maybe Kendrick feels like he's not playing the game anymore. Maybe his statement is, I did it this time, but I'm not playing your game anymore. I'm unapologetically myself. Kind of to Head's point and to his point in the Ebro and Nadeska interview, he says, I'm saying and doing what I feel right now. And I don't care how anybody feels about it. I'm being authentically myself. So I think that's kind of him saying, you know, I'm not playing your game, America. I somehow transcended it. It's possible to become successful enough and maintain integrity and transcend the game. But yeah, so there was a lot to this performance. I think no matter what, great art gets people talking. Good art you look at and you enjoy. Great art gets people talking. And people were saying it should have just been a performance. We shouldn't have to think. I love Inception. That's my favorite movie. I had to watch it 8 times before I got it. And I think that made it an even more genius movie. I didn't take it as a lesser movie because I didn't fully get it. You get the feeling, and then you go back and you see the details. So I thought it was genius. I really did enjoy this performance. In the moment where I was watching, I mean, I'm in LA, but I was by no means at a bar for the culture. It was a pretty white bar, but me and a couple of the friends and just like people around, everyone was still going crazy to not like us. Everyone was still kind of going nuts during the performance. And so even people who I wouldn't expect to understand it kind of caught the feeling. And so if you didn't love this, maybe it wasn't for you. And I think that's fine. You know, not everything is for everybody. And I don't think you have to shit on something because it's not for you. It's fine. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Not everything has to be for you. All right. There's lots of country performances coming up, lots of pop acts to go watch on tour, and lots of other events that you can tune into that you'll enjoy. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Of course, we had the Gloria jacket that he was wearing in dedication to his pen and the art form, and putting the art form of rap and showcasing it at the fullest, at the forefront on the biggest stage once again. So, love to Kendrick Lamar. Love to the team who put this together. It was clearly storytelling. It was clearly well executed. I don't have too much negative to say. Maybe I would have liked him to, have some backup vocals every once in a while to pronounce some of the words that he was unable to get because he was, running around the stadium and rapping at high speeds. But beyond that, I didn't at all hate the set list choice. I kind of like that he just, like him performing the Tiramisu snippet at the Super Bowl. That's for us. That's for the culture. That's for people who are Kendrick fans, okay? That's for people who love hip hop. And I love that he chose the biggest stage in the world to do that and didn't back down and was unapologetically himself. Okay, he had meta commentary on America. He had biblical references. Even Alex Jones was a fan. Even Alex Jones was a fan.
Try and strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. And the crowd is singing it with him at the Super Bowl.
Kendrick Lamar and his takedown of the Hollywood elites. Who would have thought we'd see that in 2025? But this world is a wild simulation, and I'm excited to see what happens next. But let me know what you thought of the performance. If I missed anything, it is 1 a.m. here. I'm going to bed. You'll probably see this the next day. So, yeah, I just had to get some thoughts off. We'll talk more on the bigger picture. I'm excited to see you there. And thank you guys so much for the support on this channel. It's been incredible. It's been really fun. It's been really fun to continue to build with you guys in this community. So hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And if nobody else has told you yet today, I appreciate you. Peace.